Hey, my friends, in this video, I wanted to record some of the commonly used glossary of technical terms for practitioners and coaches. Now, I didn't know these terms when I first started in practice, and I don't expect you to know them. So I thought I'd record this video so that it brings all of us up to speed. So when you hear words being thrown around, terms being thrown around, you're not kind of lost in the wind, right? So these are some of the most commonly used terms. Not the only ones. This is an indefinite list that will, you'll keep building up a glossary, but these are the common ones that are going to come up, especially early on as you start your journey in working with us and building some of the technical aspects of your business from a sales, from a marketing, and then also from a CRM perspective. And so this is not an exhaustive list, as I mentioned. New things will come up, so be open to learning new terms. And one of the things I'll tell you is if you don't know a term, you can always Google it. You can always go on YouTube, and I'm sure there's people that do a even better job than me explaining these things. But I'm going to explain it to you in the context of functional medicine. Now, I did throw a term out there that's kind of jargon if you don't know what it is. A CRM is a customer relationship management software. So in our case, this would be something like Kartra or something like ActiveCampaign. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So let's first talk about your avatar. Your avatar is the definition and description of your ideal customer that you want to work with. One of the things that we do in our mentorship is we have something called a brand script that we work through, and this describes your ideal customer. It describes the problem that they have. It describes them in as much detail as we can. It also describes how we're going to solve their problem, the mental and emotional hurdles that they might have to solving this problem, the objections that they might have to solving this problem. You want to get as clear as you can about who your ideal customer is, and that's essentially who your avatar is. What I've often said is that the best avatar is someone who is like you, somebody who has a problem similar to the challenge that you had, and somebody who has a very similar psychographic personality as you. So psychographics and demographics are a little bit different. Psychographics are the emotion of the person. Demographics are the circumstances of the person. So let me give you an example. A demographic data point would be somebody's age. Now, we all know that not everyone who's 44 has the same buying patterns or values and beliefs. So those would be considered psychographics. For example, you might have friends who are your age. Let's say you're 40 years old, and your friends, although they might live in the same neighborhood, maybe they even have the same income, maybe you have the same number of kids that go to the same school, that are the same age even. If I were to walk into your individual homes, you're probably going to have different habits, and you're probably going to have different values. You're probably going to have different artwork. You're probably going to have different CDs. You're going to have different things that you spend ridiculous amounts of money on. Some people spend ridiculous amounts of money on purses or cars or computers, or they like having the latest kitchen gadgets or personal technological gadgets. You want to know this about who you're working with so that you can then speak to that specific individual. Okay? So the avatar that you're trying to work with is the person that you want to describe in this worksheet called the brand script. And if you haven't watched the training that we've done on this, please go back and watch it. And if you haven't done this, then it's important that you do, because this is probably one of the most important initial exercises. And knowing your avatar is probably one of the first things you need to know and have in place with regards to your business. Another thing that's important when it comes to your business is knowing your golden thread. And that golden thread could be, your company's core mantra. It could be your company's, core philosophy. And this golden thread is something that you want to permeate through your entire business. So every message you put out there should have this golden thread piercing through it. Our golden thread is that the doctor of the future is the patient. And this is front and center on our website. So it's like the tagline right when you come to our website. So that's our golden thread. And, 100%, if not pretty close to the content that I put out there, is designed to position the end user, our consumer, our ideal customer avatar as their own potential doctor, right? That's what we believe, and that's the golden message and thread that we want permeating our emails, our social media feed, our webinars that we do, the conversations that we have regarding our business. That's how we want to position our client. So what's your golden thread? Okay. And again, everyone's is going to be unique and different. There might be some overlap and similarities, but what is your unique golden thread? And the question that you have to ask yourself is my golden thread permeating through my message? If it is, then awesome. If it isn't, then get back on track, because we need to position you as the person for people who want to solve this specific problem or want to align with your specific company mantra or message. All right. Another common term that comes up is funnel. What is a funnel? Well, think of a funnel as this image, kind of indicates, is a lead generation process. So what's going to happen when you have a funnel is you're going to have leads coming in at the top of the funnel, which is, the visual I want you to have is the top of the funnel is very broad, right? And then that starts getting narrower and narrower and narrower. And it's almost like a funnel and a filter. So kind of think of both of these things happening simultaneously. So you're going to put out a broad sweeping message that's going to attract a lot of leads. A lead is somebody who's interested in your message or interested in something you're offering. And then that person eventually gets nurtured, which we'll talk about in a second, becomes a prospect, maybe even then a customer. And they only are considered a customer when they pay you something, right? So a funnel is designed to take people who are, interested in what you have to say, and then get them to be interested in what you have to offer, to then get them to buy what you have to offer. And then the goal, of course, is to turn them into raving fans. So that's what a funnel is. And there's different ways to think of and different examples of funnels. So I want to give you a couple of examples here that might be helpful. One of them is a lead magnet. So lead magnet is a way of generating a lead in exchange for their name, their email, and even potentially their phone number. And if you're even savvier, you can get their mailing address if you've got a physical product that you're going to ship out to them. That information is valuable, especially because you can then nurture these leads. You can then email these leads through the next step, which we'll talk about in a moment. So a lead magnet could be something like a download like you see here, which is for our morning routine, which is specifically for weight loss. So whoever downloads this, we know that they're interested in upgrading their morning, but more importantly, they're interested in losing weight. Okay. So your lead magnet should appeal to your ideal customer avatar, and it should teach them how to become, their own doctor in our case, right? That's our golden thread. So this lead magnet identifies our ideal customer avatar, somebody who wants to lose weight, but somebody who wants to do it using their morning as the springboard for an amazing day, week, month, year, and do it themselves, right? So we're empowering them. So you can see how the golden thread is incorporated here. You can see how our avatar, somebody who wants to lose weight, is incorporated here. And this is our funnel. So we funnel people into this, get their email address, and then we nurture them with a series of videos, with a series of emails, with as much value as we can offer them. And another lead magnet example could be a Facebook post. You might post something on Facebook and say, hey, personal message me if you're interested. Comment below if this is something that interests you. Okay. Another example of a lead magnet could be a webinar. Let's say you're doing a webinar. That's a lead magnet because, of course, somebody who signs up for that is interested in that particular topic. So lead magnet could be a variety of different things. Another example of a lead magnet could be when you're speaking at a conference and you give people a specific link for them to go to. Could be even a scheduling link that they go to, or a special offer that you want to direct them to. Anytime you collect their name and contact information, we would consider that a lead magnet. Okay, so make sure if you're sending people somewhere that you're collecting their information. Otherwise, you're not really giving yourself an opportunity to nurture this person further to drive them towards becoming a consumer of your content, and then, of course, a consumer of your products and services. All right, the next thing we'll talk about is an automation. So once somebody signs up for your lead magnet for, let's say, the morning routine in this case, then what happens is they are then put into your system. This person is then tagged with, let's say, a unique identifier to their account that might say lead magnet, or more specifically, might say morning routine lead magnet, so we know where this person came from. A tag is a unique identifier, just like think of cattle or think of a bird, right? It's a unique identifier so that if I ever need to find out where this person came from, or if I want to find out all of my leads in my customer relationship management software that have this particular tag, then I can identify those individuals. Let's say I want to send only those people with that tag a specific message, I can do that. So an automation is something that can do a variety of different things. You see this image here, and you can see it's kind of like a smorgasbord of things that can happen. The definition of an automation and how you want to use an automation is a process that you do over and over and over again. So a few examples of an automation could be when somebody signs up to schedules an appointment with you, you'd probably want to automate the process of sending them a confirmation email and then also sending them the forms that they're supposed to fill out. And I would even say you probably want to send them a post appointment form so they can give you some feedback, right? So that would be a definition of an automation. The event itself, or the actual scheduling of the appointment itself, that's kind of like a lead magnet, right? They're filling out their information. And then now that you have their information, what do they need? What are the next steps that they need? And if we can get the robots and the technology to do this for us, then we can automate that process. Another example of an automation would be, let's say somebody signs up for our lead magnet on the morning routine. Well, we don't want to manually send them that PDF. We want the system to do it. We want the CRM to do that for us. Either ActiveCampaign or Kartra or whatever system you're using, we'd want that system to do that automatically for us. So when they sign up for our lead magnet, they automatically get a tag so we know where that person came from and we can identify them in the future, and they automatically get that first email. Now, if I wanted to, I could also notify myself, right? I could create part of that automation could be to notify me, to let me know that so-and-so signed up for your automation. The automation would then, on a daily or, every other day or weekly or bi-weekly basis, send them a pre-written email that you can update at any time, but it's going to send them a sequence of emails. Okay, so that's a definition of an automation. Another example of an automation could be when somebody signs up for a webinar. They get a confirmation, okay, the email that goes out to them. Perhaps they get a reminder email that goes out to them a few minutes before or an hour before or a day before. You've all experienced this, right? These are all automations that you've probably been benefactors of, right? And then once the webinar is done, we send a replay out, right? That could all be automated. And so that's important for you to know. Now, something else that, kind of is the same as an automation, but a little bit different, is something called an evergreen. So when somebody says the word evergreen, you can think of an automation. An automation is evergreen. It's something that you can repeat over and over. It doesn't necessarily have to change every single time you do it. So our morning routine lead magnet is automated and it's evergreen, right? If we wanted to go in and update it, we certainly could, but there's no need for us to do it. In fact, one of our lead magnets called 30 and 30, I haven't updated it in over 6 years. And it continues to automatically send out emails every day for those people that sign up for 30 days. And essentially it's evergreen because I haven't had to make any adjustments to it. Another comment that I have about when you're trying to evergreen something is you want to keep in mind as much as possible when you're creating content, can I evergreen this? And what can I not do or not say that would date this content? So for example, I wouldn't say, hey, today is such and such date, because if you're listening to this 5 years into the future, you might automatically dismiss it as not being relevant, right? We like to, as human beings, have the latest and greatest. So don't say the date, right? If you can help it, try not to incorporate unusual weather circumstances, right? So if you have this crazy blizzard of a snowstorm, maybe that's not a good time to do evergreen content, because if somebody watches that in the summer, they're immediately at an unconscious level going to feel disconnected from it. So when you're creating evergreen content, Don't use the date, right? Don't talk about the season. Don't talk about a holiday that's coming up. Unless you want to use this over and over with a specific season, that's totally fine. If you want to evergreen a Christmas holiday sequence or a Valentine's holiday sequence or an allergy season holiday sequence, you can evergreen that. Just remember that you're going to use those seasonally. So an evergreen is something that you can use over and over and over again that doesn't date itself, okay? That's important. Now, let's talk about some examples of automations and things that can be evergreen, and I kind of hinted at these. So here's an email or nurture sequence. This is an example of when somebody signs up for our morning routine, then they're going to get a email / nurture sequence, which is going to nurture them with additional information based on their initial request. So if they're coming in and the lead magnet that they signed up for is for weight loss, then guess what? We want to have content that's related to their morning routine and weight loss. We don't want to start throwing in random stuff in there that's not relevant to that, okay? Because immediately they're going to start dismissing your emails and they're not going to open them up anymore. So we want to pack valuable content and information that adds value, that allows them to take action, that allows them to get some wins, that nurtures them. You know, you can share case studies and examples and certainly testimonials, but this is what a nurture sequence is going to do. It's going to get these people familiar with your brand, your voice, your mission, your message, the vision that you have for them when they become a client. That's all going to go into this nurture sequence. And a nurture sequence is something that can be 7 days, if that's what you're promising them. It could be 30 days. If it's a 30-day sequence, it could be indefinitely. Okay, and really we want to not to be crude, but we want to continue nurturing people until they buy or until they die, right? And hopefully they buy first. And we all know how important the work that we do is, so we'd rather them buy than die. The other thing I want to mention is that when they're a client, then we don't keep nurturing them as if they're a prospective client. So we want to remove people from the nurture sequences because those nurture sequences are not relevant to them anymore. Okay, and this sometimes happens. You know, we're guilty of this. Sometimes we'll forget. We won't segment our emails properly, and people who are already in the mentorship will get invited to join the mentorship. That's because they might have multiple email addresses. Some of you, I know you're kind of laughing because you're guilty of this. You use multiple email addresses when you sign up for stuff. So when we take you out of one sequence, if you have another email address that hasn't been removed from that sequence, you're going to get, random emails that don't seem relevant to you. So a nurture sequence is a series of emails that people will get, and these would be a description of an automation and something that would be evergreened as well. Now, another question that comes up is, what's the difference between a sequence versus a broadcast? Okay, so this is a great question. So a sequence is a series of emails, and this is something that usually we want to have as an automated evergreen series of emails. A broadcast, on the other hand, is something that we would be sending once. So let's say I'm doing a special event. We just recently did one. Let's say I'm doing that special event. That's not something that's evergreen, right? The emails that go out for this are not going to be evergreen necessarily. I mean, there is an automation that people go through once they sign up, but the invitation to invite people is a one-time email, right? Or it might be a sequence of, or a series of emails, I should say. But these are individual emails that are broadcasted to the list, broadcasted to everyone who is segmented to receive this information. So broadcast is a one-time thing, one-time email. There's no chain of events that happen afterwards unless that person takes some sort of action, okay? So a sequence is usually after somebody signs up. A broadcast is a one-time email that goes out to somebody to, let's say, invite them to an upcoming webinar. Okay, an example is next week I'll be doing a webinar. I'm not going to build out a whole automation for it to invite people. I'm going to send out a couple of broadcast emails to the list, invite people, and then once they sign up, once they've signed up for that lead magnet, which is a webinar, they'll go through an automation that welcomes them and then reminds them to join us for the presentation. All right. Next thing is a campaign. So different softwares have different nomenclature just to make things even more confusing for you. When I'm referring to a campaign, I'm going to use Kartra because that's the software that we use and recommend to you. A campaign in Kartra is an entire series of assets or an entire box of assets. So in this case, let's say I share my morning routine campaign with you, which we do, then you would get everything that is involved with that campaign. You would get the landing page where people sign up. You would get the thank you page that confirms their registration. You would also get the sequence of emails that people get once they sign up as well. And so with a click of a button, that entire campaign, all of the assets that go along with that specific campaign would be imported into your account. Okay, another example could be our 5-pound challenge. So with our 5-pound challenge, there's a landing page, there's a thank you page, there's a series of emails that go along with that, video pages that go along with that. All of that would be part of the campaign. Okay, so it's like a individual box of assets, a digital box of assets that are associated to a specific event or a specific lead magnet or a specific group of assets, okay, that are all connected and related to one another. So you wouldn't get a campaign that has all the assets in it because that would be really confusing. You'd get a campaign that's tightly packaged as a product. All right. The next thing is a one-page website. So a one-page website is what we recommend as a minimum viable product for you to get started. And a one-page website has all your necessary information on it. It's got your golden thread. It's got a picture of you. It's got some social proof. It's got some testimonials on it. It's got some information about you. It's got a message to your clients who you're going to serve. It's got a lead magnet and a way for people to schedule an appointment with you and a discovery call. So it's like a super concise and precise single website that has all your entry points on it. Okay, so it's got your about you, it's got your image, it's got your lead magnet on there, and of course you can build all this stuff out over time, but that's your one-page website. We never, ever send people to our website because that's not the smart thing to do. Smart thing to do is send them to a specific action that you want them to take, right? If they want to do more research, then you send them to your website, but if you want them to take action, you would send them to your lead magnet, right? If you're on a podcast or something, and you're asked, where should we send people? Send them somewhere specific where they're going to get a beneficial tool or asset that is related to the topic that you just discussed. So if I'm doing a podcast and I'm talking about weight loss, well, I'm going to send people to my morning routine for weight loss lead magnet, or I'm going to send them to my 30 and 30 campaign if I'm talking about general health and wellness, about how they can become their own doctor. So a one-page website is kind of a great minimum viable product. You're very rarely going to send, warm traffic to your website. So it's good to get that done. And, a lot of people will spend, a ton of money and a ton of time building out their website. And I'm not going to deter you from doing that. But last time I checked, most people don't have a ton of time and a ton of money laying around. You could always build it up as you go. However, a one-page website is a minimum viable product that gets your business off the ground, gives you that digital footprint that we all need to feel like we're a real business. However, it doesn't suck up tons and tons of your time, okay? In our training, we go over this, and you're able to take some of the templates that we've created and then apply them to your business. All right. Last but not least, common question that comes up is, what is a sales page? Well, it's just that, right? So we have a sales page specifically for our Living Light metabolic program. And this page is a super page that covers all the details necessary for somebody to work with us. You may or may not choose to put the price on this page, but what happens here is it's got the information people need to then hopefully make a decision to get on a call with you, okay? So this will address the questions that they might have. We've got a webinar that we've done that we've placed on here on our sales page. It's got the benefits and the features. It's got testimonials. It's got a list of what's included, what isn't included in the program. and it also has images that highlight what is included in the program. If you want to check this out, you can go to mymetabolicreset.ca and you can see what our sales page looks like. So that's the difference between a one-page website and a sales page. A one-page website is going to have general information, okay? Maybe a little bit of information about what you offer, but the sales page is going to be very specific to your offer. It's going to really break down what you have to offer people. If you had to choose where to start, if you had to choose between the two, I would have a sales page. So believe it or not, in our mentorship program, we don't even have an actual website for our mentorship program. And it's a multi-million-dollar program. We have no homepage for that. We only have a sales page for it because we only send warm traffic to that page. Okay. So if you had to choose between the two, you would choose a sales page. The website is great to have and very easy to do with the tools that we've created. You can turn that around pretty quickly and have a pretty nice looking website done within the course of a weekend. And same with the sales page. You actually get the exact sales page template that we use. You have access to that in your account as well. So there you have it. Covered some of the common terms that come up. I'm sure there's going to be more. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this is not an exhaustive list, but a great place to get you started and help you eliminate some of that confusion that comes up, especially in the beginning when you're learning a whole new language, it seems like, marketing jargon and sales jargon and technical jargon, right? So hopefully this helps. And here's to continuing to grow yourself and continue to expand your knowledge base and to grow your business and reach more people. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.